Tag time!
Tag time. Welcome to Gunpowder Fiction and Plot. I'm Scott.
I'm Nelle.
Nelle likes to make up mean things about Scott.
And Scott is duty head.
We talk about bookish stuff every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday.
Make sure you like this video because it's going to be amazing, and subscribe so that you don't miss any of our content.
And if you don't find it amazing, you're wrong.
Oh.
No, you're not wrong. Your opinions are valid.
That's stroking egos of people. That's
It
what that
is.
gesture is.
They're wrong.
Okay.
Yeah. Alright, what we're going to do is the Midyear Freak Out Tag.
Except you changed it, didn't you? Because you can't help it.
Yeah, because...
Some of the questions are a bit weird.
I'm
not a fan of who do you have a crush on?
How do you have a crush?
I have a crush on my husband. Sorry.
Like...
I'm a loser.
Yeah. I have a crush on my wife.
You'd wanna. Otherwise you're in trouble.
I'm not leaving you for Eleanor Oliphant or one of the Crakers or any of the other characters I've left because they're not real.
Okay, let's do our modified.
We have abridged it.
Yeah.
Alright. Instead of the best book of 2020,
Yeah.
what are your highlights? What are your best books?
My best books of 2020.
Yeah, you can name one or you can name 15. But
The Watchmaker of Filigree Street. Just absolute standout.
if you're wondering why Nell's looking over there,
I'm looking at I've got all my books that I've read on one shelf, on our bookshelf.
it's because we didn't prepare for this. We just wrote the question.
Yeah, we'll do it on
We'll
the fly.
wing it.
So
It's a
this
tag
is the
video.
effect of me looking at my real life Goodreads. The one about the hen. What's it called? The Hen Who Dreamed She Could Fly. That's a good one. Kim Ji-young and the Empress of Salt and Fortune.
I was going to tell you it's like a cookbook. Anyway, why? Well, let's start. Why did you love The Watchmaker? Why should somebody read The Watchmaker if they haven't?
Because it's bloody good.
It's bloody good.
Just read it.
I've read The Watchmaker. I really like The Watchmaker too. It's fun.
It was fun. It taught me a little bit about myself. And the writing is just delicious.
It's got an octopus that's clockwork in it.
Just do it.
Like as a substitute for a pet dog.
Kim Ji-young is the book that has given me the biggest emotional reaction of any book I think I've ever read ever. But certainly any book this year. And I did a review on it, and you can watch me basically get aggressive at the camera. That's basically my review. We'll link that in the description. The Hen Who Dreamed She Could Fly. I'm sure that's wrong. But the title is something similar to that.
Wait, I'll get it. The Hen Who Dreamed She Could Fly, you're right.
Yes! By Sun Mi Huang. Is beautiful. I actually would like to read. She's got a couple of sort of fable style novels with this style cover.
It's it's like a paper cover. Like it's like old style. Like
yeah, it's very textured. Just the central character of that book was just so lovely and so heartwarming. I really enjoyed it. And The Empress of Salt and Fortune was a bang for your buck. They're like such a little book and so filled with history and mystery and issues and emotions, and it was really good. I'm going to do a review of that.
Actually, quite a few short novels in that section there.
I think an effective short novel is that's a winner for me.
Cut out all of the crap. Just give us the good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I could list 1,000 books. I've read a lot of good books this year, but I think that's my top 4 so far.
That's your top 4?
I don't know. I'm not very good at ranking.
Yeah, well, you don't need to rank. You just need to name some good ones. Right. Well, I thought the best book I read all year so far was definitely going to be Eleanor Oliphant. And then I read A Brief History of the Seven Killings, and whoa. Eleanor Oliphant is a heartwarming, awesome novel. It's got everything you could ever want in a novel. It's good.
It doesn't have a clockwork opera.
It doesn't have a clockwork. It should, maybe, but it does have a big fat cat.
Oh, I do like a big fat cat.
Is that a substitute for a clockwork octopus, not an orange? That's a different book entirely.
It is.
Let's
get a kitten.
What?
Let's get a kitten.
A kitten?
Yeah.
Do you think the dog will like a kitten or eat a kitten?
I think he will love a kitten.
We'll discuss this when we're not filming. Anyway, what was I talking about? Eleanor Oliphant. I absolutely love that book. It's one of the best books. It's definitely made my top 5 for books ever. And so I just assumed that would be the best book I read all year. And then A Brief History of the Seven Killings comes along, and I still don't know what I think of that book. It's wow.
It sounds like a lot. I'm keen to put it on my next TBR.
Yeah, I've got a review of that one up, and I still don't know which one I prefer because I'm just so.
This is why I don't like comparing, because they're so different. Like how do you compare those two books? You just can't. It's
one's
stupid.
about like gang drug violence and being Jamaican and being American and being black and being gay and
all those things
fitting in, and the other one, I guess the other one's a little bit about fitting in as well, but the other one's much more about mental illness and abusive parents and
dealing with your trauma and social isolation.
I feel like the characters from A Brief History of the Seven Killings would probably enjoy Eleanor Oliphant. Like they should definitely read that as a way to get over their trauma. Other books that I read this year that I really enjoy, The Goldfinch was great. The Oryx and Crate trilogy was...
Yeah, both of those could have made my list too.
Was right up there. That's it. What's your biggest disappointment of the year, Nell? I suspect it could be the same for both of us.
Well, what are you going to say?
Well, I'm going to pick Neil Gaiman's American Gods.
So many people I really, really care about and really think are not stupid like Neil Gaiman. And this is the only Neil Gaiman book I've read, despite our wonderful Suze having sent me another book by Neil Gaiman as a bit of a prompt.
As a present.
Suspect she saw one of the videos where we ragged on Neil Gaiman, and she sent me
Norse mythology,
Norse gods or something, and I should give him another go because I hated it.
I want to know if you have read Neil Gaiman. Is American Gods is that representative?
What he does? Yeah. If that's not what he does, then I'm willing to give him another shot. I'm going to read Norse gods because Suze went to the effort of sending it to me, and I just think that would be rude not to give that a crack. But
you also have over 100 books on your TBR now.
Totally, but it is also it's in that mythology sort of niche that American Gods is in, and I wonder if it's going to be.
It does seem like if you liked American Gods, it should be the next one you read.
Yeah, but if I hated American Gods, is it the next one I should read? That's the question. Well, if I hated American Gods and you want me to like Neil Gaiman, what book should I read next?
Yeah.
I read Truman Capote's
Breakfast at
Tiffany's this month just gone, and that was pretty disappointing.
Yeah, I'm sure that I can say that anything I've rated 1 star I probably found disappointing. But I'd wanted to read American Gods for a while, and when we made it out... I feel like
I've had overall, though, quite a good reading year.
I think so. Favourite new author?
Natasha Pulley.
Natasha Pulley. Oh, I definitely have enjoyed The Watchmaker and would like to read more Natasha Pulley. But
Celeste Ng.
Celeste Ng, geez, she was good, wasn't she?
Yes.
Yeah, Little Fires Everywhere.
And I can tell it's going to be consistent. Like, you can just tell that she's in control.
Yeah, what she did in Little Fires wasn't groundbreaking, but it was so good. And yeah, she just did all the basics that I like an author to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Marlon James, because
that book made my brain explode.
Oh, it's he might actually be my favourite author once I read 2 or 3 more other books. If people are saying that that is not a standalone quality spike,
yeah,
and
everyone
if they're
who's
right,
read one seems to think that one is the one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I will make an effort to read 1 or 2 of his other books and
see how we go.
And see how we go. But yeah. Okay. So like that is the 14 book tag condensed. Now these 3 are quite inspired. Some of them are very similar to questions. A book that made you laugh.
Mad Adam.
Mad Adam, you were giggling like so much.
Funny. Apocalypse, hilarious.
It has those characters in it that are like juvenile and they don't understand things and
naive, not juvenile, but yeah.
Naive. They ask questions like,
and they're so fun. But it's not just, that's not the only source of humour. There was a lot of funny.
But what is fuck?
Fuck helps you. Fuck is a helper.
I have asked fuck to come help us. He is on his way.
That's such a good joke. I just kept giving. Oh, it was so good.
That was excellent, that book. Yeah, so a book that made me laugh. Eleanor Oliphant actually made me laugh.
She was quite funny, actually.
Her misunderstanding of social cues was just hilarious, and then her indignation.
I think she's quite witty, like as a character. She cracked jokes.
Well, she did, and that was I like that because she clearly had some form of autism or something. But
anyway,
well,
let's not get into that debate.
Anyway, it just allowed her to be completely naive and dumb about some things and completely onto it about other things. And
sounds like a human being to
me. Yes, I guess. But I found that she was so well written that she was able to be hilarious. And it wasn't because the situations weren't actually that funny, but because the character was so well written. It's one of those ones where the character makes the jokes. What is a book that made you sad?
Kim Jong, but mostly angry. There was definitely some sad, but mostly angry. The Empress of Salt and Fortune, I cried. The hen who believed she could fly, or whatever it's called, that got some teary moments happening. I think the Goldfinch got me a couple of times too.
Yeah, the Goldfinch was sad in bits.
Yeah.
I read A Little Life this year, but the saddest book I read. So I just wanted to put that out there when I said that the saddest book I read was A Thousand Splendid Suns by Khaled Hossein.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, Little Life fans, get into Khaled Hossein.
Because that shit's sadder.
That shit's sad. Little Life is so sad, but I feel like it's a bit one-dimensionally sad, where with Khaled Hossein really does.
Oh, he broke your little heart, did he?
He does do it well. Yeah, Valley of the Dolls was sad in spots too. That could have been quite sad.
I think most good books have a sad point. And it's just whether that's the end point or not.
Yes.
There was definitely a point in The Watchmaker of Filigree Street where my heart was broken. And
yes.
Then, but I got to recover from that, which was lovely.
I think
because the story continued.
That's something it's a definite choice for an author, isn't it? And often if they break you and then bring you back, that makes the happiness of the book better.
So much happier, yes.
Yeah. What's a book that poked you in the brain that made you think?
I think the Mad Adam trilogy is pretty high on that list. You can't read a Donna Tartt book and not include that on that list. She is a brain poker.
I just can't believe you steal my books. Donna Tartt.
Book stealer.
Donna Tartt does so much to your brain, doesn't she? Because she gets in at one level and then she goes in a bit deeper, and then she's incrementally deeper all the time.
And in a weird way, the dictionary of lost words pokes me in the brain, but mainly because of the thing that we don't agree about that we'll get into in a review shortly.
That's 2 videos in a row. You're like,
I'm not going to talk about it until we talk about it.
You better film that.
Yeah, we're going to film it today.
Do you know what I forgot to mention on books that made me laugh? How to Be Champion by Sarah Millican.
Waiting for Godot by Samuel Beckett was the other one that occurred to me after we moved on from that question, but yes.
Yeah, I really did want to discuss that Sarah Millican book, because when I went into that book, I was just like, I just wanted to read a comedy. I wanted to read something like, I will enjoy this book and it'll be 3 stars, and...
Yeah, because she's funny.
Yeah, that's it. And she actually crafted something lovely that is way more than her stand-up comedy, like...
Oh, that's good. It's on my list of want to reads, and I think that it's one of the few styles that I can probably listen to on an audiobook and absorb rather than...
I mean, it could be, she could do a stand-up comedy like that. It's actually like halfway in between what Sarah Millican normally does in her stand-up comedies and Nanette.
Yeah, okay.
It doesn't, like, she doesn't have the horrible past that Hannah Gatsby had, or has rather, you know.
Yeah,
but she was picked on at high school, and she's just like, she's just a normal person, and her struggles are normal people's struggles.
Yeah.
All right, now we're gonna check in with our goals. Okay, so what was your Goodread goals for how many books you're going to read?
52.
And what are you up to?
23.
So according to Goodreads, you're 4 books behind?
4 books behind.
So my goal was 80, and according to Goodreads, I'm 23 books ahead.
Well, I've got to say, for myself, I was more than 10. I think I got to 11 books behind at the start of this year.
And you've really moved back.
And I've really, really pulled it back. And so I think that the whole point of setting a Goodreads goal for me this year was to give myself a metric to ensure that I made more time for reading. And I definitely think that is starting to show.
So whether you make your Goodreads goal or not doesn't really matter. I mean, it doesn't matter for anybody, but for you it especially doesn't matter.
I mean, yeah, it's just to tell me whether I've made the time for my reading that I would like to. I would love for next year's Goodreads goal to be double that, because I'd love to be making more time for myself. Yeah,
and I deliberately picked a low Goodreads goal for me because...
So you could read longer books.
Yes, I could read longer books. So
it's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah. Now, so we did a video, it was our second video ever, goals for 2020, and we're just going to go through what goals we both had.
Yeah.
So Nelle, one of your goals was to read Les Mis. How are you going?
It's on my bedside table.
That about sums it up.
Yeah, I still want to read that this year. It is something that I've wanted to read for a long time. I did wade into the beginning of it, and I probably wasn't reading or putting enough time aside to read at that point. And I guess when you read a few pages every few weeks instead of reading a little bit every day, a book like that does seem insurmountable. It seems like less of a challenging mountain to climb, but there are so many books on my radar now, so I've got to fight to put it in somewhere.
Yeah, you've just got to you'd be like, you'll get to December, you're like, my December TBR is Les Mis.
Potentially, but like if you look at our book like our book club this month, that is no smaller than Les Mis.
No, it's a lot smaller than Les Mis.
Is it?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it.
Yeah. This is 872 pages, which means it's a mere 700 pages short of Les Mis.
Yeah, okay.
But that is quite thick, and the version of Les Mis you have isn't that thick, so Les Mis may be on like Bible paper or something.
Maybe.
So the other goal that you listed in that, the other specific book you listed was to read the sequel to The Tattooist of Auschwitz.
Which is still on my TBR. I do want to read it, but I haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah. It sort of seems like it's become less and less of a priority for you, though. Is it still a priority, or...?
It's definitely not as big a priority, and I think that I was new to reading again, and it was the first... Or it was the start of me discovering what kind of books that I want to add to my TBR and what kind of books I want to read now as the person I am now, as opposed to the person I was last time I was reading regularly, which is nearly a decade and like our whole relationship ago. So the book I definitely underestimated how much my book taste would have changed, and it really has.
Yeah. How do you think it has changed? Has it gone more literary? Has it gone like more
fussier.
adult?
I used to read anything. I used to be happy to go into a secondhand bookstore and buy a box of books without looking at what was in it, and I would just read whatever that was. And now I care about how much representation is in the book. I'm excited by new titles. I'm excited by specific classics. Like I actually want to be sure that I'm directing my reading time into things that interest me and perspectives that I'm interested in hearing from, whereas before any book was a good book. And that is still true in my heart to a certain extent. Like, I love reading, even if it's a shit book, I'm gonna have a good time. But I'm just a bit, I'm much more discerning in what I pick up.
So are you saying you enjoyed The Wasp Factory?
And it was a shit book. It was still a good time.
It was good.
It was terrible.
It was really good. Anyway,
He's just
now
wrong.
that I've had the last word, we can move on. But you enjoyed the actual process of reading that, even if you didn't enjoy the story, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and even like the act of, wanting to throw it against the wall and just going, that's so stupid. Like,
Yeah.
it's all part of it.
Okay, so you got 2 more goals. Your second last goal was to clear out your TBR shelf, but in the video that we were referring to, you changed your mind as you say that to replace the books on your TBR shelf by reading them and for buying new ones.
I definitely think that my attitude overall to TBR and TBR shelf has changed since we made that video. There's a big push on booktube to like keep your TBR down and all that sort of stuff, and I actually... No, but like...
To keep your TBR down.
What were you saying?
I shook my head and said dumb. I wasn't picking on you, I was picking on people who aim for a 0 TBR.
I don't think I agree with that. I think I want a big fat shelf full of choices when I go to pick what I want to read. I mean, like, I don't want to be buying books at a rate that I'm never going to read them all.
Who wouldn't want to live in the library?
Yeah, we're not in a financial position where an extra $15 book or 2 a month is going to kill us. And that's really lucky. And I intend to spend that luck on books.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I refuse to feel guilty about stacking my bookshelf full of things that I'm excited to read. That is joyful to me.
We've been struggling with money our entire relationship, and we're finally now in a position where
where it's a bit more chill.
Yeah, and so we're gonna enjoy some books.
It's not a priority for me to get it down, or it is a priority for me to fill my bookshelf with books that I'm excited about, so that I'm excited about reading. Like, that's the thing that's a priority for me now.
Yeah.
And I think that goal has completely, just my perspective on it has completely flipped.
Yeah, I guess it might be different if you're on a budget. But
Yeah, but I don't. I'm really lucky. I don't have to. I'm not stressed. If I spend, I've sort of got $100 a month that I can spend on entertainment, and if that all goes on books, fucking good.
Yeah. Screw Netflix. We don't need it. So the last goal you've got is to read from more countries. So we did another video very early on where we checked every country where we'd read an author from.
This wasn't just about countries for me. This did actually include diversity of voices as far as LGBTQIA and different abilities and that sort of thing. And I actually don't think I've been overly successful in that element of it, but we're working on it.
Yeah, I have a similar goal actually, and again, I feel like I've improved, but not as much as I would like to have improved.
Yeah.
And I suspect that that's maybe a realization that it's going to take more work. Like you just flicking the switch and suddenly reading much better.
I also think it takes a little bit of time to filter down to your reading. Like if your purchasing decisions change, then...
Well, you got to think, how many books are on your TBR shelf? How many books do you read in a year? That's how long it's going to take for that TBR shelf to be affected by your buying habit, you know?
Yes, and I mean, I know we all read books that we bought not necessarily in order. So it might impact it quicker, but I think to see like really significant, I'm happy with it change, I think it's going to be years of concerted effort.
And
especially there's so many groups that I want to include.
If you want to read more non-white people, but you also want to read the classics, then you have to read Jane Austen and Charles Dickens and the Brontes and all of that, and they're all white.
Yeah, so then you have to find other books, and it's all about time, and I think there is a reason why quotas work in executing change, and that's definitely part of my approach to it is for every X amount of books I buy, I want to include at least 50% people of colour, but I've actually been buying 100% people of colour for my last 3 purchases of books. Except for when we went to the second-hand bookshop. I didn't count that in my head. And that was probably all white people. Oh no, I got some people of colour.
You got a lot of Murakami, who's an Asian writer.
Yeah. But I certainly when I bought new books, it's been 100% people of colour. But again, the queer and the different abilities. I don't know how to say that group. In
like ableist, like the opposite of ableist.
Yes. Is it disabled representation? I'm not sure if that's the right word. I don't think I'm doing as well in those categories.
Yeah. So I've got a little note here. You've added 5 new countries, because countries was actually still one of these. Like to read a different voice from a different nationality to learn something new was.
Yeah.
Because this is half diversity and half learning, and learning is part of diversity. But
yeah, for sure. But and also just like having a little bit of a collector's mindset in the sense of I want to catch them all. I want to read one from every country.
So you had 25 countries that you'd read from at the start of the year. You actually realised that I found 2 more. So you actually had 27 because you found out when I read my Dominican author, you'd already read her.
Yep, and there was another one that I found that I can't remember which one it was.
So you added 5, so you're at 32 now?
Yes.
31, because you're at 32 on the spreadsheet.
Oh yeah, 31.
So it was just the Dominican author you added.
Must have been.
And I was at 35, and I don't actually... So, and I'm now at 43, and I'm halfway through an author from Singapore, so I'm at 44.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
It's interesting, you've added 4 Asian countries, the Philippines, Korea, Japan, and Vietnam, and then Brazil. And I've added the Philippines and Korea, and I'm adding Singapore now. I've added Nigeria and Ghana, Iraq, Jamaica. So I feel like I've got a bit more diversity than you. You've gone very Asian.
I definitely like except for the Brazilian one. They're all books that I read during Asian Readathon, and I think I made a concerted effort to seek out Asian readers for that month, and I read them all. I have purchased some titles from African authors that are in my bookshelf because my African readership is just non-existent, and so I decided that's where I was going to start when we set this goal. And so I've got those books. Actually, some of them are in our TBR this month.
Yeah, I've actually read 2 of those books that you're planning to read, but I've got to them before we're filming this, and you haven't.
So, so that's definitely part of it. But I just think that's part of it being a process.
Right. So my goals at the start of the year were to finish some of the series that I and I have done absolutely nothing towards that goal. I have not read a single book towards any of those monster list of series that I listed there. I then said I would like to finish The Wheel of Time by the end of the year. We're halfway through. I'm up to book 6. There is 15, 14, 13 books. I don't know. I'm behind, but not very far behind.
Yeah.
Right? I said in that video that I have 1 book of William Shakespeare's, 1 play of William Shakespeare's to go, and I'm done. Not only have I not read that 1 book, I found out that I miscounted and I have 2 books.
So you've got another one. You've gone backwards.
I've gone backwards. I said I would like to put some sort of time limit on my TBR. I've been reading like the oldest book on my TBR each month to try and make sure they don't stay on there forever. But the length that the longest book has been on my TBR each month is going out and out and out, and I'm not getting to that time limit. Meanwhile, I'm like, ooh, readathon.
Booktube, you're a distraction.
You are. Then I said I'd like to read Daniel Deronda and Pillars of the Earth. I did read both of those books. I enjoyed Daniel Deronda specifically. And then my last one was to copy Nelle a little bit. I think I've done that a little bit. I would like to do that a little bit more.
As in read more books that I'm reading?
Yeah, I basically said I want to discuss books with you a bit more.
So we should read the same stuff.
So we should read the same stuff, and I was going to take ownership of that.
Well, I think we're in a book club together, so we always read at least 1 book a month. That's the same book. And you did terrible in June. But in May, we read like 4 books the same.
Yeah.
And in July, we've got the same TBR because I picked it.
Yeah.
So hopefully we get 10 books the same.
And what often happens is, so you read The Watchmaker of Filigree Street, and I read it straight after you because you liked it.
But they were in different months, yeah.
I read Oryx and Crake, and you picked it up, and then you finished the series, and I finished it. So, and we both read The Goldfinch. We've actually had lots of conversations about books we've read, but often there's that lag. We're not often reading them in the same month. It's often, this is a good one, read it.
Yes.
And then it takes us 6 weeks to actually pick that up.
Well, especially if it's you recommending to me, because I've got to acquire a copy.
Yeah.
So you can just download it.
Yes. But even then, like, you know, this month there's a TBR, we've got 2 buddy reads, we've got a thick book for book club.
Yeah.
You know, like, well, they're commitments that we have to read before we read what we want to read, I guess. Not that we don't want to read any of the other books, but yeah.
Before you pick up a mood read or a random recommendation.
Yeah.
It's all a bit planned and organised.
Yeah. Where with before booktube, there was definitely no planning and organising. It was like, this one.
Yeah. I like the planning and organising. It really, I feel like it pulls me forward. I feel like it makes me want to finish this book so I can get to the next one in a way that I didn't have that necessarily sense of urgency before we did TBRs and that sort of thing.
I usually know the next book I'm going to read even when I don't really know it because we do a TBR.
I've got a stack on my bedside table that is sort of, these are the ones I'm going to choose from next.
Yeah, alright, well that's our Midyear Freak Out Tag. That wasn't particularly the Midyear Freak Out Tag, was us talking about what we wanted to talk about under the guise of the Midyear Freak Out Tag, because Yeah.
We just don't do things the way you're supposed to.
Yeah, they broke the mold when they made us. We post videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. You should like this video because we're hilarious. Trust us, we are. We are.
And subscribe so that you
Definitely
get
are.
all of our video content.
Very funny people.
Oh, I would like to know how you're going with your goals and how reading goals impact your reading. So get chatting in the comments.
Yeah, do you agree or disagree with anything we've said? We always love to have that as well.
Yeah.
Just in general.
Thanks for watching.
Bye!
Mwah.
Oops.
That's my foot.
Sorry.
You just fucking stomp all over me like some kind of asshole.
What's the last time an asshole actually stomped on you? That seems like...
Right fucking there.
That's-
Twat.